By a show of hands, how many people here were born and raised in New York? Me too. How many people were born and raised in Ghana? Just 2 people. The fact of the matter is that Baki and Edward are the very reason why I'm standing up here today. Specifically, I took a trip to Ghana because I was interested in Baki's background. I was not only interested in where Baki came from, but how he came from it and the way in which it relates to my life and my relationship with him. So think of my part of the chapel talk as a prelude, something that will hopefully help set the premise for Baki's story. With that said, even before I get into my relationship with Baki and how I ended up in Ghana this past summer, it's important for everyone to understand where I came from and how my background has led me to have an interest in Ghana. So I'm going to start from the beginning, before I even knew Baki. Believe it or not, although some of us seniors might not be able to recall, most of us had a life outside of Millbrook. Me, I grew up on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and I went to public school a couple blocks from my house. Life was good. School started at 9 and ended at 4. I knew the whole neighborhood inside and out, and so did my friends. Together, we thought we ran the entire Upper East Side. As far as we were concerned, we had more than just our own school. We had our own pizza place, our own Chinese restaurant, our own subway, and even our own private park, despite the very obvious public park sign in the front of the park. We were very comfortable, because after all, everything was familiar. However, a problem arose. As I branched out to high school, I had to leave the Upper East Side bubble that I had so comfortably built my life around. I enrolled into a school in the Bronx, the same school that my sister attended. This school, the Bronx High School of Science, presented a major challenge for me. Aside from the stern environment and the extreme academic expectations, I had to wake up for school very, very early. For those of you who know me well here at Millbrook, you know that waking up isn't exactly my forte. My journey to school was nearly an hour long. Every day I had to walk almost a mile to the 4 train, and then take the 4 train past Yankee Stadium, only to walk another half mile to school. And as if it couldn't get any worse, school started at 8, a time that, let's just say, was unfortunate, especially for someone who had been used to waking up at 8:45 and going to school at 9. So I went through what I now see as a major transition. I couldn't relate to the environment, and by the time I accepted the school for what it was too late. I needed to try something different. So I left and entered the Millbrook School. First day at Millbrook, I came to soccer tryouts and met the king himself, Baki Bawa. Upon getting to know Baki, his story intrigued me. Even though I was exposed to cultural differences in New York City, hearing Baki's story was on a whole different level. I began to see my background in a different light. It dawned on me that while I sometimes felt out of place in the Bronx, at least I switched schools within the confines of my own city. Moreover, in transferring to Millbrook, of course I felt out of place in a rural, country-like environment. After all, we're in the middle of nowhere. But at least I was in my own state and my own country. Baki, on the other hand, didn't even have the luxury of moving countries. He moved continents. I don't mean to say anyone who's from the United States and still feeling out of place is wrong, because that's clearly not true and those feelings are very real. But for those of you who feel that way, just know that a potential way to mitigate those feelings is in recognizing that to a certain extent, everyone's branching out. This understanding sheds light on the power of perspective, a very important notion that has brought me closer to understanding myself and my place in the world. Over the course of my own life, I've noticed that in order to overcome obstacles, the first step is awareness of perspective. First in going to Bronx Science, and now in being at Millbrook, the power of perspective has helped me take a step back and invite new experiences in, because I know the world, and for that matter the universe, is greater than myself and what I know. In fact, I've come to notice that the older and more experienced I get, the more I recognize how much I truly don't know. To some, that's a depressing thought, but to me, it's an enlightening one. It's one that helps me remain curious, observing and learning about the world around me. So, relating this to Ghana, a lot of people have asked me why I love Ghana or why I love Ghanaians. While most case boys usually ask me jokingly, just looking for an excuse to call me half Ghanaian, I think the question has some validity. So for those of you that care, the truth is, it's not all Ghanaians, it's just Baki and Edward. The perspective that I've gained from spending time with them is invaluable to my development as a person. It's easy to attribute our friendship to the fact that we all play soccer. And while that might be a contributing factor, I urge you to understand that Baki and Edward are special because through their own experience, they have developed a keen understanding about the power of perspective. An understanding stronger than mine and stronger than anyone I've ever known. I recognize and admire Baki for their story and how it has shaped their view on the world. That's what really brings us together. I respect and understand where they have come from, and they respect and understand where I've come from. The point is that the world is different everywhere you go. And the only way to expand your perspective is to travel, study, and simply pay attention. So when Baki invited me to go with him back to Ghana and stay with his family, I couldn't say no. In speaking about my experience in Ghana, I'd be lying if I said I didn't experience culture shock. But the last thing I want to do is just relay the same old stereotypes associated with trips to third world countries. While I recognize that stereotypes are often rooted in truth, how truthful and sincere could I possibly sound stating cliche information? Information is cliche for a reason, not because it lacks significance or value, but because in a time when such information is readily available, it becomes trite. The fact and way in which Ghana is different than the United States is in essence conventional wisdom. So for example, if I were to confirm to you that Ghana has poverty like I'd never seen and suffering like I'd never imagined, would that specific knowledge really open your eyes? I'm sure you would care, but what I'm really getting at is how much of that would resonate with you. I don't think much would. I believe most people would hear it and experience a brief moment of sadness, a powerful moment, but nonetheless a fleeting moment. One that is more of an oh well, that's terrible, as opposed to an oh crap, we should do something. With this in mind, my goal tonight isn't to convince you to reach out to Ghana or any other third world country, simply to help you understand why it's valuable to take in our differences, good and bad, major and minor. Hopefully upon hearing from me, and more importantly, from hearing from Baki, you may feel compelled as a community full of compassionate, sympathetic individuals to act or feel in some type of way. If I can't say in what way, but something within yourself. Personally, in seeing poverty, I felt pity, and I wondered how I could possibly help. In seeing suffering, I experienced a moment beyond just a fleeting moment of sorrow. And maybe most importantly, in seeing the widespread, unconditional hope for health and happiness, I was forced to look introspectively and reaffirm to myself that perspective means everything. So here's Baki to offer his perspective, because believe me, as much perspective as I've gained in my life, my experiences can't even compare to what Baki's about to tell you.
I'm from Tamale, Ghana, a city infested with kids aspiring to be professional soccer players. I was no different. Growing up, all I cared about was soccer. I went to school, but hardly put any effort into my education. Fortunately, in June 2006, when I was 11 years old, scouts from the Right to Dream Academy came to my hometown to look for talented soccer players. Over 1,000 boys, many of whom were my friends, tried out, and only 23 were taken from Tamale to a second tryout. I was among the 23, but that did not guarantee me a spot in the academy. The academy scouted all over Ghana, selecting the best boys in every city to participate in a final tryout at the academy. Over 100 boys, many of whom were my friends, tried out to partake in the final trial. Essentially, being one of the best 100 boys was not, out of 15,000 boys of my age in all of Ghana, was not enough to enter Right to Dream Academy. Only 16 scholarships were available, and I had 3 weeks to prove I was one of the best 16 candidates. During the 3 weeks, teachers and coaches from Right to Dream not only look for soccer talent, but also for character and academic ability. It was at this point that I realized I wanted to be more than just a soccer player. I wanted to be a student athlete. I understood that my education would always be the backbone of my life. No matter where soccer takes me, I want to be the best student and person that I can be. I think that the founder of Right to Dream recognized my desire for education and my will to live a life with dignity and respect. He granted me a 5-year scholarship to the academy to hone my innate athletic skill, academic drive, and character strengths. Throughout my time at Right to Dream, I grew immensely. I used many codes to drive my success. For instance, when I was struggling with a soccer concept or even a math problem, I used the codes that were on the walls of Right to Dream. History has demonstrated that the most notable winners usually encountered heartbreaking obstacles before they triumph. They won because they refused to be discouraged by their defeats. I know that no matter how much hardship I may encounter, I will always triumph because I understand that hardship is a necessary step to accomplishing my goals. I know that I am not the only one who struggles in life. It is my duty to help others. I also woke up to this quote on the wall of my dormitory. Do not wish to accomplish your dreams if you are not willing to help others accomplish theirs. I am very fortunate that I've had opportunities to branch out in my life. My friends in Ghana, in Tamale, are not also lucky. When I make it at whatever I do in life, I will not forget about my roots and the people who have shaped my life. My friend and I plan to build an academy similar to Right to Dream to give underprivileged children an opportunity that they will otherwise not have. When I turned 15, I had a couple of options: to pursue a professional soccer contract in Europe, or to go to boarding school and then to college in the United States. It is no secret that I chose the latter. I knew that coming to the United States would enhance the quality and rigor of my education. I left everything behind in Ghana: my family, my friends, and my teachers. It was incredibly hard to know I wouldn't go back to Ghana for 3 years. I knew I wouldn't be able to eat my native food, banku, jollof, and wache. I knew I would have to wear coats, gloves, and hats, clothing that are literally non-existent in Ghana. Most of all, I knew I wouldn't see my mother, father, brothers and sisters. My family, all 17 of them, will never leave my thoughts. I pray for them and they pray for me. I came to the United States with a limited perspective on the world. Since coming to the United States, I've gained culture through experiencing the unknown. All in all, I am very grateful that I am here at Millbrook and thriving in the United States. I'm glad that I made such good friends and I've met such wonderful families. However, my progress as a person knows no boundaries. Right to Dream has literally given me the right to dream and giving me the tools to accomplish what I set out to accomplish. I will continue to grow no matter where I end up. I will give it my all, and I will always serve as a positive ambassador to the philosophies of Right to Dream. God bless.